Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wreck and Rule. My name is Brian. Today we're going to take a look at part 2 of a series that we began about a month ago. And the idea behind the series is how to build up your local community and keep your Transformers trading card game scene active. If you've not already done so, I do advise that you go back, you check out that first episode. This way you have a good basis for what we talk about today. So let's begin. Step 1. Step 1 basically means that you have to keep doing everything that we did back in that first episode. First episode was really focused on getting players interested, on getting new players in, getting them hooked into the game. That's something that you have to continue to do, even if you think that you currently have a pretty healthy local community going. You're going to find that pretty often either people jump to a new game. A lot of people, when there's a new card game that comes out that is not a Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or any of the other more popular established card games, a lot of people like to jump from one new card game to a new card game. We've recently had Keyforge come out, so a lot of people have been trying that out. So as you lose people, whether it's due to that or whether someone's work schedule changes or whether the holiday season comes up, especially if someone has kids, they have to go do things related to the holidays during that time. You want to keep on getting new people in because that will help to replace any people that you lose for various different reasons. So you do still have to keep on recruiting new players into it. Step 2. Continue to buy new product from your store. Metroplex just came out. Hopefully, if you have a local game store that's supporting the Transformers card game, hopefully you bought it from that local game store. If your local game store is not supporting the card game, then take a look back at episode 1 and look at some of the things that you can do to get your local game store to support your efforts to grow your community and start to carry the game. And keep in mind also, buy sleeves there, buy top loaders there, buy deck boxes there. This way, again, any little bit that you can do to show that you are willing to support that game store, they will continue to support you. The other important thing there is, if you want to build a community, you need space to play. You also ideally want them to be running tournaments, not just a meetup day. I mean, that's cool, that's great. But you also people want that competitive edge. They want to win something. They want there to be some kind of stake on the line there. So keep buying stuff from your store. This way, they will support your efforts as well. Step 3. It's really, really important that when you do get new players in, that you don't scare them away. The idea is at any moment, when someone's even an established player, there are a lot of reasons why they might decide not to go to the game store again that week. Either they're tired from work, weather outside is really cold, new video game just came out they want to play. You want to minimize anything that would encourage people to not come out. So one of the ways I would suggest doing that is do not play some of the more oppressive teams out there. If someone is pretty new to the game, they've cobbled a list together based upon a couple of packs that they've bought, maybe the Autobot starter, don't throw an Insecticon heavy orange, heavy bold list against them that's going to just blow them out of the water. Don't throw, the rare prime where on his first activation during the first turn, he could potentially just one-shot a character off the board before the other player has a chance to even use it. I'm not saying never ever use those teams, but if someone is pretty new, if it's pretty clear that their deck is kind of thrown together, it's not quite optimized, don't throw a really oppressive team up against them. Step 4, kind of related to that, is to help new players to fill out their collections. So my store gives out packs as part of the prize support. We also do kind of like a participation pack that everybody gets as well. So, you open up your pack and you have your third Jetfire that you don't need. If there's a new player there that doesn't have Jetfire, just give it to them. Or, if you don't want to just hand an uncommon card away, you could also just, trade an uncommon for an uncommon. I noticed Joe doing this pretty early on, where he basically has a bank of uncommon cards. If a player needs one, then Joe just has them trade one of their extra uncommons that they already have duplicates of for an uncommon that they don't have. And again, it just kind of encourages people to keep coming out. You give them more options. They can play around with some new stuff. Challenge 5 is also kind of connected here. So we talked a little bit a second ago about new players and what to do to keep them coming out. At the same time, you also want to keep your experienced or your veteran or your invested players to keep coming out as well. So, challenge them. Ask them to throw together a team based around a character that hasn't been, maybe is not top tier. So an example of that might be, I've played it on camera a couple of times so far, is my Cliffjumper, Mirage, and Thundercracker team. I don't think this is going to win any major tournaments out there, but it's a lot of fun to play. Action cheating with Mirage can do some really cool stuff, which can also power up Thundercracker. Cliffjumper is basically just there as like a card draw engine to kind of draw new cards as Mirage is flipping back and forth. But it's a lot of fun to play. You have to really think about your order of activations. It can potentially punch above its weight class a little bit, but encourage your experienced players to build a team around some character that isn't being used a lot to see what they can do with it. That'll put them on a little bit more even playing field with some of those new players as well. And it encourages your veteran players to not get stale. They're trying new things out. Maybe you find something that the community at large hasn't figured out yet, and that's fantastic. Step 6 is, you're going to experience growing pains as you are building that community. Keep pushing through those growing pains. One of the primary examples of this is if it does really start to take off in your area, chances are that it's going to probably begin primarily at one game store. But then if the game really does pick up, if you have multiple different game stores nearby, another game store might also, start promoting the game as well. At which point, if you had a really strong, showing of maybe 10 players each week, you might lose some of those players if this other game store is closer to them, or just it's a more convenient time for them, whatever it might be. During those moments, don't get discouraged. It's going to happen, but it's really important then that the two stores don't schedule events over top of each other, that whoever's in charge of organizing at each store, is willing to work with people from the other store, and that, like we said before, you just keep on recruiting new players to keep on coming out. So work through those growing pains. It will get better. Step 7 is keep your local community engaged. We talked last episode about the importance of having a Facebook group for your local community. Do things to kind of keep them posting, keep them active, keep them interested. Put discussions up there, put questions out there. If something cool happened in a recent, game night, take a video of it, put it up there. So this happened at our Metroplex release event. Local player named RJ managed to do the Metroplex tap down and, one shot to each character. And I had 2 characters that were on death's door. They had 1 damage left on them. He plinked them right off the battlefield. Take a video, share it, get people pumped up, get them hyped up. Step 8 is you want to engage with people who see the game in action and hover around your table. Don't just ignore them. I see this happen all the time, not just in Transformers, but every other game that I play. People come by, it looks cool, they're kind of interested, but the people who are playing just completely ignore them. Now, obviously, if there's a big tournament, a case tournament, maybe that's not the best time to break your concentration and talk to those people, but, tell them about the game. Show them a little bit about how it works as you're playing your current game in action. Tell them how they can get started into the game. And heck, like if you have a couple extra common characters with them, give them a common Starscream, give them a Ramjet, give them a common Optimus Prime. It just is a cool little incentive and makes them remember it in case they don't pick it up at that very moment. Step 9, recruit players who are playing similar games. Keyforge just came out. If you can get a buddy to play Transformers during a Keyforge event, you'll have people nearby who see it in action, and maybe they decide they want to pick it up. Same thing for Destiny. A new release, new wave, I'm not sure what they call it in Destiny, but just came out. It may have reinvigorated the Destiny scene in your area. There might be more players who are playing. Play Transformers during that time. See if you can nudge a few of them towards playing Transformers. Same thing with Warhammer Champions, another trading card game as well. That's kind of getting some buzz lately. Like we said earlier in this episode, a lot of people will jump from new card game to new card game, kind of that new shiny that they want to explore and kind of play with a little bit. Try to get them to explore Transformers if they're playing these other different games instead. Don't be obnoxious about it. Don't kind of like give them a bad taste in their mouth, but lightly nudge them. Let them see in action. Let them come to you. Step 10 is guerrilla marketing. A local player named Christian had this idea. There was a local, just kind of like nerd convention in general going on, and they had like a small little gaming area. He suggested that we put out some flyers, and it was a really good idea. So he took them out, he put them out there, and I believe Christian also, from what I've heard from local reports, I think he put a few in the Transformers trading card game like pop-up display that they had at our local Target, because I had some players tell me that they saw some of these flyers in that pop-up display. Now obviously Target probably is not really okay with this, but what they don't know or what they don't notice right away is not going to hurt them. Another big retailer for this is GameStop. If you're cool with your local GameStop manager, just go in there, ask him if you can put a couple like on the counter or maybe near where they display their Transformers card game stuff. In that type of situation, I would probably check with the GameStop manager or employee there, just because it's a smaller store and it will be a lot more noticeable if you try to put some flyers out there for it. But anything you can do to build that buzz. I did something like this quite a bit back when I was getting X-Wing going in my local area. If I was in a Barnes & Noble and somebody, was looking at the X-Wing stuff, I would tell them, hey, look, we have a pretty big scene in our area. Join the Facebook group, and we have a bunch of stores that you could play at. This way, anybody who does have that interest, but their question is, well, yeah, but when am I ever going to actually play it? Who's actually playing this game? It gives them incentive and lets them know, hey, look, people are actually playing this game. Maybe I will buy into it. Step 11 is to keep showing up every week and keep advertising. Again, you might have weeks where it's you and one other person, you and 3 other people. Maybe you have a week where there's only 5 and someone has to get the buy, whatever it might be. Just keep pushing through that. Again, November and December are both tough months for gaming, in between Thanksgiving, various different, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa celebrations going on in December. There's a lot of stuff going on. It does take people away from tabletop gaming a little bit. But the idea again is, do not give up. If you give up, you will never see any return on that investment. You just have to keep on pushing, keep on showing up, keep on showing people that there are people who are in fact playing the game. Thank you guys for listening. If you have not already done so, make sure you join the Rec and Rule Facebook page. Anything that we do, we definitely post here about it. Subscribe to our channel, please. We're trying to push to get to 1,000 because that gives us a lot more options with what we can do. Promote us if you can to your local gaming group. We have some giveaways coming up. We have some really cool acrylic tokens by Customized Gaming from Wayne, who has a store on Etsy. We're in talks for a couple of other really cool giveaways as well. So stick around. We appreciate all the support that you guys are giving to us. Keep on pushing with your local scene. From what we're hearing from WotC, the game does seem to be doing well. So keep on pushing in your area. Keep on pushing at your local game store. This way, WotC sees that there is that interest and they do start to develop an OP program. Thank you for listening. Till all are one, wreck and rule.